Hi there guys, Sam here. You join me once again in the Golf R for another quick video. Yeah, just a little bit around economy kind of so far. I had a kind of check back before on some of my playlists around economy, and it is quite a talked about topic. And I just wanted to do a quick kind of summary of kind of what sort of like best sort of figures I've seen, the worst figures I've seen, and a bit of an average over sort of the last sort of year and a half to hopefully help you guys out. So yeah, I'll get straight into it. So Golf R, so you got a 300 brake horsepower four-wheel drive car weighing about 1.5 tons, a little bit less being a three door and being a manual car, which helps a little bit on the economy side. Now I do have a manual gearbox, and economy figures are actually rated slightly differently. Apparently it's about 1 mile per gallon worse according to the combined cycle to a DSG. In reality, I don't think there's too much in it, and certainly for me, this car's been really good for what it is on economy wise. So start on with kind of, I suppose, the bad points, the worst kind of figures I've seen. And I think over the ownership of my car, the worst that I've ever had after an actual journey, which I think was probably like a fun drive, a 10-minute blast, quite cold, the engine's only recently got up to temperature, it's sort of, it's not great for the car. Worst I've seen on the dash has been 16.9 miles per gallon, and for me that's very rare anyway. I don't often see it in the teens, but that's the worst that I've ever sort of seen it afterwards, and that's obviously giving it some, not driving it slowly at all. It's wringing its neck kind of thing, and having a good time. Sort of sticking kind of the lower end of the scale, general worst figures that I've seen on the car just from normal day-to-day stuff, it rarely dips below sort of mid-20s. 25, 26 miles per gallon is generally sort of the worst that I would see for sort of like a normal day-to-day journey. If you're doing like a short drive to like the shops or something like that, 5-10 minutes or something, it's never going to really get any better than that, because the car's cold, it's still a powerful car, it's not going to return as good figures as another car. And the good thing is, even if you've followed some of my fun drives that I've done and quite fun blasts, I rarely see below sort of 20, low 20s for that, which I think is actually really good considering you're just having a bit of fun and having a good time. And that's kind of like the worst sort of side of it. And I should stress that's really quite rare that it gets down to that. And I'll go into kind of averages shortly. On the other side of the scale, best economy figures that I've seen, and this is actually from starting and stopping, this isn't just like I've just seen it on the screen randomly pop up, this is a full complete journey. The best that I've seen is 44.4 miles per gallon, and that's a decent 35-mile journey. And okay, you're not giving it any, you're cruising, I think I was sort of around sort of 50 to 60 miles an hour sort of cruising, but you still get off the motorway or the highway or whatever, and the economy still stayed as that when I parked up, and I was like, that's really good. And there has been multiple occasions, probably more occasions than it's been in, as I've said, sort of like low 20s or the teens, in the 40 mile per gallon sort of mark. And I think that's really good. I've done a few journeys and you sort of get 43, 42, 44 again, and it does happen, or sort of just 40. And that's really good. You've got to bear in mind what this car actually is, what it's capable of. It's a car that is capable of being faster than, say a Porsche Cayman or something like that, a 981. In that you've got something like a 2.7 litre flat six, 3.4 flat six. This is a fast car, and it also weighs a bit more, but it's still able to keep that economy because it's a 2 litre 4-cylinder. Great engine, absolutely love it. EA 888, loads of good stories about that. Particularly to get the economy well, it has like a fast start-up time, fast warm-up time, which is better than other motors. It's a really strong engine. So that's kind of the top end of the scale. And again, mid to high 30s, okay, I'm not trying to go through the entire range of miles per gallon, is achievable quite easily. I've driven this car, if you drive it normally, so say like 70 miles an hour, you're not really messing around, you're kind of at the limit, not at the limit, but you know what I mean, you're not going slow, not poodling along. 36, 37 miles per gallon will happen. It just will. It's really good at that. And going on to kind of the whole average, the best average that I've returned in this car has been high 30s. So the best that I've ever got is about 39 miles per gallon. And that was actually, funny enough, early on in the ownership of the car, where perhaps I wasn't testing its limits. I was, it was early days. It was only a few thousand miles in. I'd spent a lot of money on the car. I wasn't going to exactly wring its neck. And it did perform that really, really well. And I'd get that. And that was on just sort of normal, super unleaded, sort of Sainsbury's, whatever fuel, supermarket fuel. As of this year, sort of this half of this year, I have changed the type of fuel, and that does affect your economy. It generally does, depending what octane rating you have. In the UK, we have 95 as in standard unleaded. You'll have super unleaded, which is 97, and then you'll have stuff like Shell Optimax or V-Power, or what I use, which is Tesco Momentum, and they're about 99 octane, and it should give you a little bit more shove, and actually should be more efficient. It's quite good for the engine to run it in, and I've actually been using that quite a lot, and I would say economy has been better with that. But on the flip side, I've also been driving it a little bit harder probably this last half of the year, so it's a little bit hard to get the full comparison, because my economy has probably gone down a little bit because I've been driving it harder, but it's probably saved itself a little bit to not be as awful because of the type of fuel that it's in the car. The worst kind of average that I've had on a full tank is again recently, actually, and the worst average that I got was actually about 28 mpg, which is not good for me at all. I mean, I think it was just under 300 miles, and that was really short journeys. It couldn't be any worse, and that's generally the worst I've ever seen it, and that was actually very recently. But in terms of averaging, 32 miles per gallon is probably fair, and that's a full sort of cycle range. You'll get about 350 plus miles out of a 55 litre tank, which is more than enough for most people. I think that's really, really good, and I just wanted to share that because a lot of the videos that I've done before, I've been driving and stuff like that, talking about economy, but this hopefully is a little bit more clearer over someone who's owned the car, 15,500 miles. You can live with this car as a day-to-day on the economy side. I think it's really, really good. Last little bit to touch on the economy, tyre pressures. I found that if I'd left them and ignored them for a few weeks, months, economy drops quite a bit. You need to keep your tyre pressures up. You need to keep that kind of regular maintenance. It really does. Little bits do help the car. And funnily enough, once I pumped them up again and got them back to their recommended levels and everything was kind of recommended, the car starts to perform as it should. And a terrific car it is. It's absolutely fantastic. An economy, it's a thumbs up from me. I'd like to find another car with over 300 brake horsepower and four-wheel drive that is as economical as this. If you have one, put one in the comments, because I don't know of it. Certainly not as fun as this car. But that's it. Hopefully that really helps you out. I wanted to keep this video nice and short and nice and constructive. Hopefully it helps you out. I may or may not have put some numbers on the top to kind of make it a little bit more clearer, but if not, hopefully that is nice and clear. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching. If you're not familiar with my channel, it's around the ownership of my Golf R. I've had the car for about 1.5 years now, and yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And again, please comment. I know a lot of my subscribers have Golf Rs. They could certainly share feedback with you and give me advice as well in terms of what kind of economy figures you're getting. And again, please like and share if you've enjoyed this video, and hopefully you found it useful. But certainly a car that you can live with day to day, which is pretty incredible. I don't think there is another car out there that is anywhere kind of near that. I know it's not the point of having a car. I know people say, this has got like an eco button, for example, which will like restrict the throttle. Like if you put your foot down, the boost isn't straight there, and the throttle isn't as urgent. If you've got it on radar, guided cruise control, getting back up to speed, it will do it slower. Restrict the aircon, anything to save fuel. And I'm not made of money, and I'm sure other people aren't either. And saving money on fuel, which is probably one of the biggest expenses of the car, surprisingly for me, it's a big plus point knowing that you can get the miles out of it, and a credit to the car and a credit to VW. I think they've built something pretty special here, as I've said before. And check out my other videos on everything around the ownership, really. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. As I've said, drop a comment. It's always useful. Please give this a like and share the content. It's it means a lot to kind of build kind of Golf R community. Your sort of feedback on likes and on the type of videos that I do is really helpful and useful. I will read them and take them on board, positive or negative. But thanks very much for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend, and yeah, I'll see you again next time for another video. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. Cheers, guys.